to my channel, True Talk with Ericka Sallee, where I empower women to live fulfilled, to focus on well-being mentally, physically, and spiritually, and to transform into the best versions of themselves. So if these are conversations that you want to hear more of, then I do encourage you to subscribe to the channel, share it out, and then turn the notification bell on so that you are in the know when new videos are uploaded. I also encourage you to drop a comment below. I'd like to hear from you and let me know whether or not anything in this conversation that I'm about to share with you resonates with you. And of course, if this is the first time that you have landed here, I do want to take a moment to briefly introduce myself as a speaker, Amazon #1 best-selling author, and transformation success coach. I get super excited about helping women to figure out what is it that stands in the way every time you decide to move forward, to achieve a goal, to step into something new. And the best part is that when we get to figure out what those barriers are, then I share strategies with you to help you move beyond those. And that's really what this channel is all about. These are snippets of opportunity that you get to grab and take and move into your next, however that looks for you. And so, when I talk about this idea of true talk, what is true talk? Well, true talk is really a conversation that we might be having from two different perspectives, right? A lot of times when we go through our daily living or when we're trying to achieve something, there's this little voice in our head that will try to tell us we can't do it, it won't work, it'll never change, it'll always be this way, it's never happened for me before, I'm not good enough. Those are all the things that sound like it's true based on maybe your circumstance or your history or your family or your experience. But the other side of true talk is really the part that gets to switch all of that negative talk around and begin to think about something that is possible. Well, even though I might not have had this, I can create that. Or even though that wasn't my experience, I can create a new experience. You see how the true talk dynamic changes. And so here on this channel, I like to talk about both aspects, right? Some of the things that are going through my head when I'm processing my own stuff, and then how I have to shift into a different perspective so that I can see possibility. And I want to share those conversations with you. So I got to tell you this. I walk in the morning, and so I'm just coming back from my walk. I'm getting ready to get my coffee and get myself settled in for the day. But over the weekend, this past weekend, at the time that I'm recording this, this is a Monday. So Saturday and Sunday here in Maryland were two of the hottest days that we have experienced in a really long time. So the temperature was in the upper 90s. But with all of the heat and humidity and all the other factors that go into, how it really feels, it was more like 101 to 105, okay? So on Saturday, my family and I were over at my grandmother's apartment. My grandmother just passed away recently, so we're clearing out her apartment. So we had been there probably for, 5-6 hours. So my car was parked on the street, and it was hot, and it had been sitting. So when we were getting ready to leave, we get in the car, and I'm turning the air on, and I think it was just so hot that my air condition in my car was just like, I don't even know how I can quickly get up to speed to cool things off because it's just so hot. So I'm dealing with that on the way to take my mom home. And so this morning, when I go out to walk, I turned the air on, and I could still feel that, it was blowing air, but it wasn't cool air. And I thought, okay, so it was cooler, a little bit cooler yesterday, still hot. The car had been sitting in the garage, from the time I got home Saturday up until the time I left today to go to the park. So I'm driving to the park, and I'm still feeling this blow of air that really wasn't the cool air. And I thought, oh gosh, here's something that I need to take care of. So as I'm walking, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out who I need to call. Do I have to take it to the dealer? Do I take it to, the family owned shop up the street, have them look at it? Hopefully it's just cooling. So all these things are going through my head. And so I had to, in the one side, it was just like, oh, here's something else, right? Then on the other side, I thought, okay, God, This is just yet another thing that I'm bringing to you to help me navigate through. And when I say that, that is my spiritual foundation. I recognize people have different perspectives about what they believe in, what faith they practice, and all of that. But for me, that's the conversation that I have. So, I finish my walk and I go sit on the bench. You all may have seen me if you follow me on my other social media platforms, or if you've seen something that I posted here on my channel, you know that the morning time for me is sacred. It's when I get to wipe my mouth. It's when I get to like just enjoy the day. It's time for prayer, meditation, taking in nature, just to center myself. So this morning I sit, I center myself, and I get in my car and I turn the air on. When I turned the air on, I pushed one of the buttons on the panel. And as soon as I did that, the air just came gushing out, like rushing out. And I had turned it all the way down to low because that's just how desperate I was to get it cool over the weekend. So I never readjusted the actual temperature itself, but I pushed this button on the panel. And as soon as I did that, the cool air came rushing out. And I thought, thank you, God. So there's two things that I wanted to share with you in this conversation. And this was sort of what was deposited into my spirit, what I felt like there was this lesson for me in that moment. And the first thing that I thought about is patience. Not that I thought, this is what the lesson that I felt like there was this spiritual guide leading me to hone in on these two things. The first is patience. In this age that we live in, we want everything quicker, sooner, faster. And when I turned the air on and the cool air didn't come out like right away like I'm used to, I got impatient. I thought something was wrong. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to go take this for somebody to look at. There's going to be money that I'm going to have to pay. All of these things started rushing through my head because that's what I was thinking. In my impatience, sometimes we are impatient. We want what we want, when we want it, and most of the time it is right now. And that's the situation that I was in. And especially over the weekend when it was like hot as Hades, I needed some cool air like right away. When that didn't happen, I automatically thought, oh God, there's something wrong. There's something that I have to do that I hadn't anticipated. And so all these thoughts are going through my head. So in that moment today, that's the word that I heard, patience, patience. The second thing, and this might be the biggest part, the second thing that resonated with me was that sometimes you have to activate something in order to get the result that you desire. Remember when I said I had to push a button on the panel that I did not push, and as soon as I did that, the air came rushing out. Now, I don't know why I didn't do that over the weekend. Or maybe I did and the patience part just wasn't setting in. I don't know. But as long as I have been driving this car, I'm like, well, why didn't you do that? Like you just weren't thinking, or I don't even know. But today the lesson was sometimes you have to activate something. I had to push that button. When I did that, I got the result that I wanted, that I needed, the cool air. So for you, it might be, and before I go to the next thought, when I thought about that, I said, oh wow, so that's in lots of cases outside of the air conditioner in my car. Sometimes we've got to take a step. Sometimes we have to do something. Sometimes we have to pick up the phone, make a phone call, send an email, send a text message. Sometimes we have to search, research, inquire. Sometimes we have to take the gifts and the talents that we have and take a step to figure out, well, how can I utilize these things that I have been given, that I have been blessed with, that I can do that perhaps nobody else can do, or maybe they don't do it like I do. Sometimes we have to activate something because we oftentimes sit and we're like, well, I'm just waiting for something to happen, or I'm just waiting for the change to come. I'm waiting for things to be different. But then the question is, well, what are you doing to help activate? Now, I do believe that there are times when we should be still. There are times when we should step back and not do anything. Those are times when we're trying to figure which direction to go in, or if we're trying to seek answers, and sometimes we need to be still first so that we can just get some of the noise and some of the junk and give ourselves an opportunity to rest. That's a time when maybe we're not activating. But some of us get comfortable in that spot and think that that's all we're supposed to do. And even when we do get some inspiration or some inkling or some idea, we still say, but I'm gonna wait. And my question to you today is, what do you need to activate so that you can begin to get the results that you desire? It could be anything. It could be as simple as you've been trying to figure out, maybe you want to go back to school. This is just an example. Maybe you want to go back to school and you've been thinking about it, but you've been thinking about it. So how do you activate that thought, that desire, that goal? Well, maybe you say, okay, let me look up information on the community college or the schools close to me, or online options. Let me just do some research, see what the tuition is, see what programs they offer. Do they align with what it is I desire? That's activating something. So activation looks different for everybody. I was having a conversation with two of my closest friends over the weekend, and one of the things that we're activating is looking at, okay, what debt do we have? And what's the plan for attacking what it is that we want to, take care of? So, my one friend, she's a financial consultant, she's an accountant, so she's got us, focused on this. And she said, okay, we either are going to look at the lowest debt that we have or the debt that has the lowest interest rate, and decide which you're going to attack first, and then put the plan in motion. Set the goal, put the plan in motion. That's activation. So, and she's holding us accountable. I just sent her a message this morning and said, okay, here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do. So that's activating. So activation looks different for every single one of us. So again, I'm going to ask this as I wrap up this conversation. What is it that you need to activate today to get the result that you want, that you need, that you desire? Is it something from a physical standpoint where you say, you know what, I need to take better care of my body? So maybe it's activating a different way of eating. Maybe it's activating, giving your body more exercise, more physical movement. But whatever it is, there's something in your space today that I'm sure you've been talking about. You perhaps have been writing about it, maybe been sharing it with other people. And maybe today, this moment that you're listening to this video is the time to activate that thing. And let me say this, activation doesn't mean going from here, wanting to, and then all the way to the finish line. It's just taking one step. You can look at it this way too. When you think about something that you want to activate, you can also reference something that you want to change. And I always say this, and this is a perfect time to remind, that when we begin the transformation process, when we begin to think about something new, we have to take baby steps, because it's the baby steps that allow us to move and to see results, and that give us the energy to keep moving toward the finish line. Okay, so activation is just about getting started, taking steps, and then continuing to move. So with that being said, I hope that you got something out of this conversation. And again, I'm going to encourage you to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts about what you heard. And if by chance you're saying to yourself, you know what, I really could use some support to figure out, well, how do I activate the something that I want to do to move forward? And when I figure out what that is, then how do I keep moving? How do I stay consistent? If you have questions about that and you're looking for that support, then I do encourage you to visit my website at TruSynergy.org. I also invite you to consider my Clarity and Focus experience. What is that? Well, sometimes you can think about things, you have questions, and you're not really sure. The Clarity and Focus experience is an opportunity for you to join me once a month. Bring your questions to the forefront so that we can talk about those in an open forum, and you get the answers that you need in order to move about and create what is best for you, whatever your goals are. It's a great way, simple, easy, for you to have some support, and then you get to control how you move forward and use the answers to your questions to then activate your next. Okay, so you can check out the link in the description of this video to find out more about that. And until the next time, I hope that you take care of yourselves and be well, and I do look forward to seeing you again here on this platform.